And so many are here and grateful for the great memories of 16 and 17 years ago. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but that is in case the fact. And to top it all off, as we get set for tonight's game, the Blue Jays wear the uniform that honors the clubs of those years. On Flashback Fridays, we're accustomed to seeing them in the powder blues, but here they go with the home unis. And here is the lineup for the Baltimore Orioles, who provide the opposition tonight against the Jays. And they're led off by Brian Roberts, a speedster with extra base power. Adam Jones in the second hole, a first-time All-Star this year. Nick Markakis was riding an 8-game hit streak, and that ended Thursday in Detroit. He's got 129 hits this year. That puts him top 10 in the American League. You'll notice Matt Wieters catches for the Orioles and bats 8th. Today, Baltimore traded Greg Zahn to Tampa Bay, so we'll discuss that as the broadcast continues and look at Ricky Romero, who makes his 18th start of the year.
Yeah, Romero continued his recent hot streak on Sunday. He picked up a win on the road against the A's. It's been hot. Over his last 9 appearances, Romero's gone 7-1 with a .336 earned run average. Helps that he gets some run support in those 7 wins. The Jays have been able to score 55 runs for him. Looks good in those unis. Here's the scouting report. Fastball, curve, slider, and change. Strikeouts with the changeup. He'll get a lot of them. And batters when stuff is average. When he has not had his number one stuff to the mound, he still battles and keeps his team in the game to help them win.
We're playing ball here at Rogers Center, and we're so glad that you've joined us. I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler, along with Sam Cosentino tonight from Rogers Center. A beautiful night for ball as Romero kicks and pitches and gets strike 2 on the leadoff man, Roberts. Ricky is fresh from a victory in Oakland on Sunday. He has certainly received adequate run support in the last 2 as he throws the 0-2 pitch, a breaking ball sent foul by Roberts.
Well, what's been good about Ricky Romero is his command. His last couple of starts, he's thrown 13 innings and just 2 base on balls. Remember, there was a while in the middle of the season where he was throwing tons of pitches out there, walking a lot of batters. But in his last outing against Oakland that you just mentioned, 5 strikeouts and just 1 walk.
Here's the 0-2, line to left field. And that bounces into the seats and out of play.
Here's how they'll line up tonight for Cito Gaston defensively. Joe Inglet will get the start with the right-hander on the mound in the outfield, along with Vernon Wells and Alex Rios. Scudero and Hill have been so good, they'll man the middle of the diamond. Encarnacion and Overbay on the corners, and Rob Barajas will catch young Ricky Romero.
There's Romero again. The breaking ball is outside for ball 1. This has been an eye-opening year for Romero, who really, starting spring training, wasn't considered for one of the rotation spots. He earned it, though, out of camp, and might just be the Rookie of the Year at the end of this season as Roberts lines out to center. And we bring in the third member of our broadcast team. Here is Sam Cosentino.
Jamie, I'll be hanging out in the 400 Summit Suite all game long. I have the architect of those World Series teams, Pat Gillikin. How proud of you were you of those teams that you put together?
Well, certainly proud of the players, and you know, those are tough series. We were there earlier in 91 and didn't get over the hump, so getting over in 92 and 93 was something special, and this was a group of very special people that are here tonight.
I want to touch a little bit on the 92 team. Pat Tabler mentioned in the open of our show that you went out and got 2 really key guys in Winfield, in Morris. What about those 2 guys did you think would help put you over the hump?
Well, they've been on winners before. They knew how to win. And the one thing that you have to have when you get into a playoff situation are people that have been there and people that know how to win. And Jack had been with Detroit. He'd won over at Minnesota. And Dave had been with the Yankees. So they were people that knew when you got in the clutch what you had to do to be successful.
What I find amazing about the run over those 2 years is that in between 92 and 93, 14 players changed. How are you able to maintain the consistency, the group inside that was able to win? What is it about that transition that made it successful?
Well, you know, we wanted to make some changes, and we think that you need to change the group. And we were fortunate enough at that time in the end of 92 to have replacements in the organization that could take their place. And again, we brought in a couple of free agents. We brought in Dave Stewart, brought in BAL AT TOR to kind of add to the mix. And Dave is another guy who knew how to win, coming from Oakland, and BAL AT TOR was a guy who had never been to the World Series before, so we wanted to add him to the mix. So it was a good group, and as I say, I think you need to change and get some hungry people in there every year.
With 2 outs in the inning, one last question for you. You, being the architect, went to the ends of the earth to find players, but really one of the original teams that went into the Dominican Republic to find talent. Why there?
Well, we thought that we had to use everything at our disposal. You have the amateur draft here in Canada and the United States, and you have other ways you can improve the club, the draft, the amateur draft, the professional draft. So we just thought it was another area.
Well, Pat, thank you. As the third out is made, we'll take a break with the no score here in the bottom of the first.
Though the Blue Jays lost 2 straight to the Yankees Tuesday and Wednesday, they should be refreshed after a day off yesterday and get set for a 3-game set here against the Baltimore Orioles. And Aaron Hill continues to be one of the great stories this year in all of baseball. His return from a major concussion last year, and he leads the Blue Jays in most offensive categories up against a struggling rookie tonight. There's right-hander Jason Birkin.
Yeah, just 1 in 9 when you saw the earned run average. He's won his major league debut, ironically, against the Toronto Blue Jays back on May the 26th. And Jamie, that was the last time he tasted a victory. 9 straight losses to go along with 3 no decisions. His last start is one that he would like to forget.
Second pitch is fly to center field by Scudero, and Jones is there.
You see Adam Jones in center field. Here's the rest of the defense for the Orioles. Raimel and Markakis, good throwing arms in the outfield for Baltimore. Mora, who's been in and out of there at third base. Asturis, a fine fielder at shortstop. Roberts and Wigington. And the rookie, Matt Wieters, behind the plate tonight.
Here's Aaron Hill hitting second. He goes after the first one and fouls it back without question. Birkin had all kinds of trouble in his last outing against the Red Sox.
That's what I mean. It's one that he would like to forget. Just an inning and a third, the shortest outing of his career. He gave up 6 earned runs on 7 hits. Walked a couple of batters. Faced 13 batters and gave up 7 hits.
In a game eventually won by the Red Sox 18-10. And so Birkin tonight twirls against the Jays. 1 ball and 1 strike on Aaron Hill. And this ball golf foul down the line. I must tell you, Pat, these Jays look fantastic in those uniforms.
Oh, speechless. I'm speechless right now.
They are the Blue Jays once again.
Yeah, you know, they talked about the Flashback Fridays, and they showed the blue road uniforms, which are nice. But that's the true Blue Jays right there. That's the uniform that we saw from 1977.
Here's the 1-2 up the middle. Played by Roberts, the second baseman, and he gets his counterpart Hill for the second out.
We talked about Jason Birkin's record and his earned run average. Now let's see what he features. The right-hander, fastball, curve, and slider. No wins since that debut against the Blue Jays. And his arm angle is very important. When he's three-quarters, he can get low action on that fastball. Some movement, slider, a little bit of a sinker. So the arm action is the key.
With two gone, here comes Adam Lynn, the designated hitter for the Jays. Lynn, like Hill, having a terrific season. And he's really blossomed into a good hitter at the major league level. As we've seen over the course of this year, Pat, Lynn is not an easy out.
Well, what makes him so tough is he is able to hit the ball away from him with authority. Like that.
Drives it up the middle and caught on the run by Jones. Birkin picks up a 1-2-3, and after one, no score from Rogers Center.
Borders. Now, first, I must ask you, joined now by Pat Borders. Welcome back to the Rogers Center, top of the second inning. I'm joined now by Pat Borders, the 1992 World Series MVP. And Pat, first of all, I have to ask you, we put out several pleas over the course of our broadcast to find you. How did Joe Carter eventually find you, and where were you?
Pat Gillick located me. He located me through my grandmother in another city. How he does that, I don't know. But he found her. It's amazing how he tracked me down, because I do not have a phone at my house.
No phone, but we understand you have 7 kids with an 8th on the way. Tabler said he wants the DH for your team in a couple of years. Will you give him that shot?
Hey, he's got a lot of kids himself. He's got a couple of boys that I've seen before that are good players.
I want to go back and touch over some of the history and the memories you had here. What made the team so special? First of all, starting in '92 to be able to win the World Series.
I think they were just a close-knit. We always stayed together. You would see us in the locker room hours and hours after the game time. Maybe upwards of 4 hours after the game, just hanging around watching TV, laughing, just having a good time. So it was a really close-knit team. We were in the minor leagues together as well, so that might have had something to do with it.
John Sullivan said one of the things he really had to do to you is to keep you focused when at times you struggled at the plate. He wanted to keep you focused defensively, but then you go on and put up great numbers in the '92 World Series. How were you able to balance those two things, the defense and the offense?
A period of time, you have to learn to forget about your offense. As a catcher, you're more important back there catching. You can mess up a game in a hurry doing something wrong catching. As I watched one of my ex-teammates strike out.
Yeah, and you definitely have a few of those. Aubrey Huff goes down swinging for the first out in the inning. And 2006, you signed with the Dodgers in spring training. What finally made you decide to shut it down? Because you had a long storied career near the end, a lot of different teams. Why finally shut it down?
Just separation from my kids. a couple of them were getting up there in age to where I needed to be around and watch them play their athletic events, their school events, whatever it may be, just the day-to-day being there with them. And to stretch out any further, I think would be not good for them.
And lastly, is there any particular moment, a favorite moment you have throughout that whole run that you recall and think about all the time?
Probably my very first game in Kansas City. My dad is a teacher still in Lake Wells. He flew all the way up and got there as I was getting up the bat for the first time because I only saw one pitch. And as we have a ground ball at third base.
Nice. With the throw, nice work. Pat, you might be in trouble over there.
Don't you be thinking anything over there, Borders. Don't you? You see me over here?
He's telling you no. He doesn't
You're retired.
Want you to take his job.
Stay retired.
He said stay retired. But that experience with your dad being able to watch your first game, how meaningful was that to you?
It was a lot because he was behind me. He was the driving force, showing me what to do, helping me practice, giving me the desire to practice. And for him to get up there and see the very first pitch in the big leagues, something he never had an opportunity to do, was very pleasurable for me.
Well, before you take Tabler's job, we'll send it back to the guys in the booth. Jamie?
Sam, that's wonderful. Boy, he does a nice job.
No, he doesn't. Stop it. Stop it. No. Hey, Borders is awesome. He is great.
An 8th child on the way, too. The big mystery throughout this reunion weekend was finding Pat Borders. If you had 8 kids, you wouldn't have time to answer the phone either.
Why do you think he played for so long?
That's right.
He's got to support them all now, right?
All those college educations. As Melvin Mora swings and misses, a ball and 2 strikes facing Romero. Cito Gaston said before the game he loved Pat Borders because he would run through a wall if you asked him.
Tough, hard-nosed, smart, behind the plate. He was right. Catcher is a defensive position first.
Mm-hmm. While Borders was giving his analysis, Ricky Romero struck out Huff, got a ground out of Reimold, and now a 2-2 on Melvin Mora. Easily played. He'll walk it over to first and get another 1-2-3. So as we kick off reunion weekend here in Toronto, the Blue Jays bring Lyle Overbay to bat in the bottom of the second. This broadcast for a chance to win a 52-inch Sharp Aquas LCD TV. Go to sportsnet.ca/baseball game and launch it right now. They just replayed Ed Sprague's 2-run home run in Game 2 in '92 on the big screen. And it's hard to do work around here. Scott Carson and I sat here before the game trying to get some notes done, and they kept replaying all these great moments from those 2 years.
Yeah, I wanted to, we were out in center field. I wanted to jog out and watch the big screen because I love that kind of stuff.
Did you get chills? I
Yes.
know I did.
Yeah.
As we look at Lyle Overbay facing Jason Burke, and he fouls it back. No balls and 2 strikes on Overbay, batting 4th. Great turnout, too. I guess when you get Joe Carter involved and he has a couple of months to make all the phone calls, you'll find enough of the players are willing to come back and enjoy this weekend. They've had a good time, have they not?
Yeah, we've had a blast. And you know, one thing I found out yesterday when we were at the dinner, that the Blue Jays didn't do this. This was James Dodds and Joe Carter. That they felt they wanted to do it, and they called Paul Beeston and asked him if they could do it. And Mr. Beeston said, "What a great idea.
Go right ahead."
And it has just snowballed.
As that bounces to first, picked up by Wigginton. He underhands to the pitcher.
Well hit to left field. To the wall, Deion Sanders. Home run, Ed Sprague. Off the bench with a pinch hit 2-run homer.
Down by 1 in the top of the 9th. Derek Bell had walked ahead of Sprague.
Huge walk by Derek Bell to get it started. You know, Jeff Reardon had a good breaking ball. Sprague didn't want to waste any time finding it, so he picked out that first fastball. And right then I said, boy, we got a chance. After losing game 1, we're going to win game 2 and go home. And we got a chance.
Here's Vernon Wells. What a feeling that must have been for Sprague to come off the bench and do that. Make that kind of a contribution.
Well, he was so, I think, advanced for his age as a baseball player, and I think that was growing up as...
Look at this tattoo. My goodness, Vernon Wells into the 2nd level with a home run that gives the Jays the early lead.
That's right on cue. Talking about a home run.
Here's a man who desperately needed one of those.
That ball was absolutely scorched by Vernon Wells. When he stays compact and stays short and swings at pitches in the strike zone, great things happen all the time. He's got such a quick bat and a short stroke. When he stays like that, those kind of things happen.
That's Wells' first home run since July 22nd off then Cleveland Indian Carl Pavano. He was acquired today by the Minnesota Twins. So the Jays lead it 1-0. And now Alex Rios steps in, hitting 6th. Rios with 12 home runs this year, batting .261, and Birkin on the 1-1 gives up a bomb to left field, and this one is well hit, and you can kiss it goodbye. Back-to-back shots.
Carbon copy of the first home run this inning. Sinker down and in. We talked about the arm angle. That'll get the ball down from Birkin. This time it doesn't. Belt high, hammered to left field. Birkin gave up all those runs in an inning and a third in his last out, but no home runs. He's given up 2 now here back-to-back in the 2nd inning.
Let's bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, after a couple of home runs, joined now by Devon White. And Devon, I understand, along with James Dodds from TD Financial Group and Joe Carter, you helped put this thing together. Why do you think it was so important to do this?
I think, most of the guys, we haven't seen each other in so many years, and, I give a lot of credit, to, Joe. He made all the, calls, because myself, I'm working in Washington, so a lot of credit has to go to Joe to assemble all these guys, but, the thoughts definitely came from, Mr. James Dodd and myself, so, it's like I said, it's great to see Dave Winfield and Molitor, the Hall of Famers. And, you've probably seen some few Hall of Famers down there who does back-to-back home runs.
Yeah, I know a lot of the fans, current fans, are thinking that might be the case with those two guys, Wells and Rios. But let me talk a little bit about your career. A huge prospect with the Angels. You got onto a veteran team. Wasn't the best of situations. And then you come over to Toronto as Encarnacion drives that ball into the left center field gap. He rounds first. And runs into second with a stand-up double here. Just went out in the inning. The Blue Jays up 2-0. Encarnacion with a one-out double. But talking about the move to Toronto, what did that mean to your career to come and play for Cito Gaston and get away from that situation in California and be so successful in Toronto?
Well, looking back now, it wasn't too much expectation because I didn't know Cito Gaston. I knew the Toronto Blue Jays and the trades that they made. And as soon as I was acquired, they went and got Joe Carter and Alomar. So I was very excited to come here, and meeting Cito and playing for him was, a blessing for me.
Barajas steps to the plate here with Encarnacion on second. I'm with Devon White here in the 400 Summit Suite as we go through the 92-93 reunion and the catch. You've been asked about it a million times. How much do you replay that catch in your mind, and are you still upset that it wasn't called the triple play?
Well, you can't be upset. It's a human error, and that's fine. I think the main thing, we are wearing this, jewel on our fingers and with these rings that we have, and that's the main thing.
2 outs in the inning as Barajas pops out to short. Blue Jays up 2-0. And the final question for you, how much fun are you having getting to see all these guys? Baseball, a lot of times when the career ends or guys get traded, the communication stops. How much fun have you had here in the last couple days?
I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and going forward also, because we're exchanging emails and which we should have done when we left here. But with all that excitement and everything, people, we all take it for granted that, hey, I see you around, and sometimes that's not the case. But I think we are exchanging emails and phone numbers to keep in touch in some capacity.
Well, off Bergen's hands into Roberts. Gets it over to first base to end the inning. Devon White, thanks for your time.
No problem.
Blue Jays up 2-0 on a back-to-back home runs. First by Vernon Wells and then by
After 2 innings here in Toronto, back-to-back shots by Vernon Wells and then Alex Rios. And the Blue Jays jump on top of the Orioles 2-0. Ricky Romero has retired the first 6. He faces now the 7, 8, and 9 hitters for Baltimore. First up, Ty Wigginton. As Romero gets ahead in the count, 0-1.
Dave Tremblay has had to find some playing time for Ty Wigginton because he has been so hot. He's got that average up to 267, hitting over 300 over his last 49 games. Playing some third. He's at first base tonight. He has raised that average from 198 to where it sits right now, 267.
Fouls that one back. Now a ball and 2 strikes. Well, Romero given a couple of runs to work with early here. The Jays certainly provided some support to him in his last outing. That was Sunday in Oakland when they scored 5 times in the first inning. Here's the 1-2 to Wigginton, and it's scorched foul. This is 18th start of the year and third meeting with the Orioles. As Romero kicks and deals, breaking ball inside, and it catches the strike zone for strike 3.
It's early in the game, but Ricky Romero looks like he has a good fastball. He's on top of it just a little bit more, and when he stays on top, he throws more consistent strikes. It also looks like he's got that curveball bending and breaking. There was one right there fooling Wigington.
And so here's Matt Wieters, the rookie catcher, who drives this ball to right field. Rios on the run right there at the wall, makes the catch. And Wieters is gone without number 2.
Shows you the kind of athleticism Rios has. He goes hard for that ball and crashes into the wall to make the out. Good play there.
Now a bit of a stir was caused before the game as Rios, according to some reports, was put on waivers by the Blue Jays. This is somewhat of a common occurrence after the trade deadline. And an unnamed team apparently has made a claim on Rios, so the Blue Jays would have essentially 72 hours to do one of 3 things. They can pull him back and keep him, as Izturis pops this one up, foul ground down the line. Overbay chases it over near the wall there, but it's just out of his reach. They can work out a deal with the team that made a claim, or they can allow him to be claimed. And so this happens quite a bit, where players are placed on waivers, and J.P. Ricciardi addressed this with the media before the game, where it is commonplace for them to just simply test the waters and pull them right back, and nobody ever knows about it.
Everybody pretty much gets put on waivers. You have a certain amount of time, and you put 5 players one day, maybe 5 players another day, and you put them on waivers. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean you're going to lose them. Generally speaking, for the most part, when players are picked, when they go through waivers, they're pulled back by the team, and nothing happens.
There's a 1-2 pitch in the dirt.
I guess the most famous waiver deal was here in Toronto was the Randy Myers deal, when he was blocked or picked by San Diego, and the Blue Jays said, okay, go ahead,
take him,
and they took him, and they got his contract too,
because they unloaded a ton of salary.
Yes.
2-2 on Izturis, and a grounder to short, backhanded by Scudero. He throws out Izturis, and Romero goes cleanly through the third. So 9 up, 9 down so far for Ricky.
Third inning with the Blue Jays up 2-0. I'm joined now by Jack Morrison. Jack, your name has already been brought up on a couple of occasions. The Blue Jays had obviously seen you pitch with Detroit and then Minnesota. but everyone felt that your addition was so key in bringing a different element to the team. What did you feel that you brought to this team to help put it over the edge?
Confidence. I knew what the Jays had here. The nucleus of the heart and the soul of the team was already here, and I just felt that if I could just bring a little bit of the confidence and my game to the table and be able to execute that they would be able to win it all. I knew they could if I could just do my job.
Leadership, along with that confidence, was another word that was brought into play when talking about you. And when you have those two elements, where in your history, where did that come from? Where did you derive those two assets from?
It probably came from Sparky Anderson. He taught me that you can accept winning or you can accept losing, or you can just accept life. But the fact is, you're going to have your good days and bad days, and it's okay to fail. That if you give it your all, failing is okay. But when you didn't give it your all, you're going to worry about it, and it's going to haunt you. And so I learned right away, when I was hard on myself young in my career, that I could be proud of the fact, even if I lost, if I did well. And, I tried to protrude that confidence in the younger guys here.
And it surely worked as Marco Scudero looks at the 2-1 pitch. It's a little high. No outs here in the bottom of the third inning with the Blue Jays up 2-0 with Jack Morris. And talk a little bit about 84, the Tigers, 91, the Twins, legendary game there, 92 with the Blue Jays. Which of those three, would you call your favorite, your best, or would you put one ahead of any of the other ones?
When you win a world championship, you can't really rate them. You just appreciate so much that you're so lucky and fortunate to live through those times. They were all great to me. The first one, Detroit, obviously is special. To go home Minnesota and have a dream season. Every kid dreams about playing for their hometown team and doing well. So I lived that. And then coming and bringing a world championship to Canada here in Toronto, I mean, it was just phenomenal because I feel a part of this city. I'm a Minnesota guy. I live north of here. And to come and have them experience it, when you realize that this is a hockey country and they recognize that baseball is a sport they can embrace.
Scudero goes down on strikes for the first out of the inning, bringing up Aaron Hill to the plate. And, Jack, one last question for you. If you go back through your short time with the Blue Jays, is there one moment in particular, other than the World Series, that stands out that maybe you thought would help bring this team to the fore?
I don't know. It was obviously some of the acquisitions they made to get over the hump, and we did it again in '93 by getting Stewart and Cone and Ricky Henderson in key times of the year. But I think it's just the heart and soul. Cito Gaston gets a lot of credit because he was a quiet, confident leader that let us play, but yet he had a handle on us, and he knew when to talk and when not to talk. And I respect him so much.
Well, guys, great to catch up with Jack Morris as we send it back to Jamie and Pat in the booth.
No question, Sam. Thank you so much. For the better part of a decade, perhaps the best pitcher in baseball, some would say. He had an amazing career.
Pitcher
won 21 games in that year, 1992.
Pitcher of the decade.
Absolutely.
In the 1980s.
Aaron Hill grounds out to third for out number 2. And, Morris's numbers in the playoffs in '92 in the World Series weren't that terrific, but you don't get to the playoffs without a 21 winner,
right.
A 21 game winner like him.
Tells you the type of team we had. I remember when Jack was going for his 20th win of the season. It was in Yankee Stadium, and we were all pulling for him. I mean, we wanted him to get that 20th win, and it was a rainy day. You probably have seen the video before when Alfredo Griffin is swinging at balls up on the backstop.
I do remember.
Just to get 5 innings in because we were crushing the Yankees, and we had to play 5 innings. Well, when John Shulock saw that, the home plate umpire and crew chief, he shut the game down. It rained another 2 hours, and we were all praying in that clubhouse that it would end. Jack could go out there, finish the 5th inning, get the 5 innings in so he'd be eligible for the win. We did. We finished the game, and Jack got his 20th. But that's how that team was. They pulled for each other so much.
Griffin turned around 360 degrees on a pitch that was about 5 feet out of the zone as this comes right back to Burke, and he picks it off the mound and throws out Lind. So after giving up a pair of home runs in the second, he goes 1, 2, 3 in the third. The Jays are on top by 2. TD Canada Trust Comfort Zone, and these lucky guests want a chance to sit in the Comfort Zone at this afternoon's TD Charity Barbecue in celebration of the 92 and 93 reunion weekend. Joe Carter picked the name out of a barrel, and some lucky winners get some of the best seats in the house here at Rogers Center for tonight's game between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. And so far so good for the home side, as Romero has retired 9 in a row. He gets back to the top of Baltimore's order here with Brian Roberts, Adam Jones, and Nick Markakis coming up. That's scorched down the line and foul. The Blue Jays with a 2-0 lead after back-to-back home runs by Vernon Wells and Alex Rios in the second inning. Here's Roberts, who has 38 doubles this year. That leads the American League. The pitch is up high from Romero. Romero spent about a month on the disabled list after making 3 starts for the Jays this year. He suffered a right oblique strain. It first occurred in the middle of April in Minneapolis and really felt it in a start here against the Oakland A's on the 19th of April on a strikeout pitch early on in the game. He ended up going 7 innings, allowing just 4 hits in that game. And the Blue Jays shut out the A's 1-0 as he throws that one outside and walks Roberts. So there was a speedster aboard here. And so as Adam Jones is announced, Romero deals with a base runner for the first time tonight. Jones is a first-time All-Star and one of the key components picked up from Seattle last year in the Eric Bedard trade. He's hit 19 home runs and leads the club in that respect and has driven in 64 runs. The leadoff man, Brian Roberts, takes a short lead at first. Romero throws over just to keep him honest. When Romero returned from the disabled list, he was roughed up in Baltimore in his 4th big league start. He gave up 3 home runs in that ball game to Aubrey Huff, Nolan Reimold, and the man at the dish here, Adam Jones, who rolls his back to him, and Romero has trouble finding it, so he gets the sure out at first as Roberts advances on the play. Earlier today, most of the players from the teams being honored here at Rogers Center had a chance to sit down and sign some autographs for fans, including our own Pat Tabler, who sat down with Devon White. They drew quite a crowd. There was a crush of people trying to get in early and get the best vantage point, first in line for some of the autographs today, including Hall of Famers like Dave Winfield and Paul Molitor. Here's Nick Markakis now with a man in scoring position for the Orioles. That barbecue today in downtown Toronto drew a huge crowd and raised $40,000 for the Children's Aid Society. And if you were in attendance, you got a great idea as to what it's like to celebrate a championship, as Romero throws back to second, but Roberts, who had taken a few steps toward third, gets back in time. He figured out quickly that it might be best to retreat to second, and does so. He almost breaks again, and Romero throws a ball to Markakis. It's now 1-1. Roberts over at second, causing all kinds of trouble now for Romero. All the while, the left-hander on the mound dealing with a very good hitter in Nick Markakis. 1 ball and 1 strike. Here comes the pitch, way in at the chin, and that brushes Markakis back. 2-1. High and tight. And so the count goes 2-1. There's Roberts, who's stolen 21 bases so far this year. He's been caught 6 times. Romero checks, comes to the plate. It's grounded to second. Hill goes to first for out number 2 as Roberts advances to third. And that brings us to the next edition of Rogers Fast Facts, brought to you by Canada's fastest mobile network, 3 times faster than any other. Blue Jay pitchers this year have held opponents to a major league best 193 average with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. And that is the case here with Roberts at third and the left-handed hitting Aubrey Huff standing at the dish. Huff struck out swinging in the second. Left-handers have been a problem for Romero this year. He's given up a 297 average to those hitting from the left side as that bounces, and now Roberts scurries for home. The shovel pass, and they get him at the plate. Oh, heads up Rod Barajas as Romero, with loads of time, applies the tag on Roberts and gets out number 3 and prevents the Orioles from scoring a run here. So after 3.5, as Roberts tries to take Commentator clothing is provided in part by Z Zenya. Statistical information provided by Stats Inc. Back at Rogers Center on a spectacular night for ball. The roof is open and the crowd is large. It's the Blue Jays 2 and the Orioles no score. I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler, Sam Cosentino, and our Sportsnet.ca columnist and statistician Scott Carson. Here's Lyle Overbay facing Jason Birkin. Birkin gave up a pair of home runs in the second. Nothing new for Orioles pitchers. They lead the American League in homers allowed now with 137 on the year. In fact, Birkin himself has given up 9. He forms a battery tonight with rookie Matt Wieters. 3-0 on the leadoff man, Overbay, who draws the walk and trots down to first. So the first man for the Jays here in the bottom of the 4th is aboard. And so that brings up Vernon Wells, who smacked his 11th home run of the year the last time he came up. the two players who have received the brunt of the criticism from fans this year, Wells and Rios, go back-to-back with home runs in the second off Birkin. A check swing roller foul. And the one Vernon hit was gone right off the bat. Head down, the trot to first, and he knew this one had hit the second level. His first since the 22nd of July. Here's the 0-1, and this time he goes to the opposite field as Markakis parks underneath and pulls it down for out number one. Here's Alex Rios, announced as the batter. His home run in the second, his 13th of the year. At the end of this inning, there'll be a ceremony on field celebrating the players from the 92 club. Pat Tabler has made his way down there. Sam Cosentino joins us from the suite that has been the site of all the celebrating in the early part of this game. And Sam, as you know, the focus this year has often led to criticism of both Rios and Wells for their lack of production. And in the latter part of this year, if they can do the kind of things they're doing here in this game, it would certainly go a long way to getting them back on the side of some of these fans.
There's no question about that. And, you know, for Rios, I think the numbers will bear out, especially the power numbers by the end of the year. The average may be down a little bit, but he traditionally is a second half guy. And you look at Vernon Wells, we know that traditionally, other than the 2006 World Baseball Classic, a guy who was a very slow starter, started well in 2006, and usually picks up as the season goes along as well. So we'll see if those two guys don't hold true to form.
Rios swings and misses there. And so he's gone as Birkin gets the K, his second of the night, two gone here in the fourth inning. And Sam, what a thrill it must have been for you to be down on the field in center field prior to the game. What a wonderful ceremony as you saw so many faces that made so many people in this country and in this city so very happy in 92 and 93.
Yeah, it was great, Jamie. And you know, the thing that I've been taking from the last couple of days in the golf tournament yesterday is the fact that these guys, they are really excited. I mean, you're talking about accomplished major leaguers, Hall of Fame guys. You're talking about players who have multiple World Series rings. And we talked a little bit about it with Jack Morris and Devon White, that the communication ends a lot of times when a player gets moved or he retires, and to bring everyone back, these guys, they are excited, man.
Boy, are they ever. And the crowd that turned out at a barbecue downtown today was huge. The golf tournament at Rattlesnake near Milton yesterday was a major success. They'll have a gala dinner tomorrow night. The weekend for these players really has just begun. And they get a chance to watch this game, the Orioles and the Jays, as Encarnacion fouls it back. He followed up the back-to-back home runs in the second with a double to left center. The names are so recognizable, the face is so familiar, and the memory's fresh. Birkin checks the runner at first. That's Overbay. On the 1-2, comes to the plate. Encarnacion goes around and is punched out by Gary Cedarstrom. So Overbay draws the walk, and he is left at first as Birkin strikes out the third baseman. Just went a little bit too far, and
Say hello to Dave
Winfield.
Hello, Toronto. On behalf of all my teammates and friends out here, we first want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts to TD Canada Trust and Rogers Communication. Thank you for bringing this band of brothers back together. There's so much I could say, but on behalf of these guys, Toronto has been a part of our heart and our baseball career and our entire lives, and we're so thankful to each and every one of you to helping us make history up here in Canada. We had a great time in 92 and 93, and you were no small part of it. The last things I'll say, we want to say thank you to Cito Gaston, who is one of the best managers and the best friends that anybody could have. You got a great man there. And on behalf of the players, once again, like we said back in 92, Winfield wants noise.
What a feeling that was for so many, as Dave Winfield made it all possible with that 2-out, 2-run double in the top of the 11th off Charlie Lee Brandt. And Mike Timlin brought it home with Joe Carter, who just happened to be the man who touched the ball last in both World Series victories, 92 and 93. As Aubrey Huff grounds to the right side, and Romero covering. Great pickup there by Aaron Hill, as the ball ricochets off Overbay's glove but hangs around the area, and Overbay watches as Hill makes the play.
Well, that's just it, Jamie. Aaron Hill, you don't give up on the play, and as Lyle Overbay extends, it goes off his glove, but because Hill didn't give up on the play, able to scoop it up. And good part on Ricky Romero, too, to continue making his way to the bag at first base to cover it up and finally make the out.
Boy, you talk about backing up a teammate. Hill just did it there, and they get the dangerous Huff. Overbay is all smiles as Nolan Reimold comes to the plate 0 for 1. So far tonight, Ricky Romero has had little trouble with the Baltimore Orioles. His only blemish, a walk to Roberts in the 4th. But Roberts was thrown out trying to come home on a pitch that got away from Barajas. So here in the top of the 5th inning, 1 away. And a 2-0 count on Reimold. And that is right back at Romero, and he stabs the ball. Oh my goodness! Everybody's on their feet. They're just happy to know he's still alive.
Oh man, that ball is a rocket. So much so that Reimold couldn't even get out of the box, Jamie. A line shot, and at this point it's just a matter of self-defense. Romero gets his glove out in about the only area he had time to get it in. And look what I found, ends up right in the middle of the glove. And even ones like that come back and hit you in the palm, those can sting a little while too. He got all basket on that one.
What a scary sound, Sam, too. That was a thud heard throughout this building. As Melvin Mora now steps in to face Romero. And he has been dealing so far tonight. Romero brings in a 10-4 record and faces the third baseman Mora, who was less than happy recently when in a game against the Boston Red Sox he was held out of the lineup by manager Dave Tremblay, and went off to the media after the game saying he deserves far more respect than to be given a day off without any kind of an explanation. That pitch catches the zone, 2-1. Inside now, 3 balls and 1 strike on Mora. This place is still buzzing after Romero stabs the comebacker off of Reimold. 2 down, 5th inning. And to his windup is Romero. Here's the pitch. And there's the first base hit tonight off of Romero. And it comes with 2 out here in the 5th inning.
And the fans here recognizing that, Jamie, giving a pretty good ovation to Ricky Romero. And as much luck as he had on the Reimold comebacker, he wasn't having any part of the Mora shot up the middle. See Barajas set up away, and a good swing, an extension on the part of Mora to drive that ball into center field for the O's first base hit.
So Mora takes a short lead off first. The pitch is down and in to Ty Wigginton, who struck out in the 3rd. Wigginton started the year slowly. His first of a 2-year deal, signed with the Orioles in the offseason. And he swings and misses 1-1. Pat Tabler's back in the booth with us. You've been doing a lot of running today.
I've been on that elevator a few times. On the elevator, downstairs, upstairs. It's been a lot of fun.
Every time I see you wearing something new, it was the retro jersey, now a blue golf shirt. Earlier today it was the suit and tie.
Yeah, I have the suit and tie on.
Good for Dave Winfield to take the microphone and you know, he was only here a brief time, but he was so popular.
He meant so much to the team. You know, really the leader, the emotional leader. He's always on the bench saying, all right, we're going to get this guy. We're going to win this game even though we're down by 5 runs or whatever. So that was good. And to thank the fans. I mean, it's so true. The fans and what it meant to come to this ballpark every day and have 50,000 people. Cito. There's going to be another one in the 1/2 inning. Joe Carter's going to speak on behalf of the '93 team.
There goes Wigginton. He goes around. That's the call by Jim Wolf as Barajas chases him down. And Mora is left there at first after a 2-out single. And we've remembered '92. Now it's time to remember the back-to-back.
Thousand screaming fans every single game, and we love you for that. I want to thank all of my teammates for coming back and celebrating this momentous occasion. And for Cito, we wish you the best of luck. And Toronto, in your anthem, it says, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Well, Toronto and all these guys, we stand on guard for thee. God bless you guys.
Well, Joe Carter follows Dave Winfield. And some of the current players like Alex Rios in there to hug Dave Stewart. Vernon Wells is there. There's Juan Guzman with a blue jacket on. Tony Fernandez with the glasses. Pat Henkin won the Cy Young in '96. Mark Eichhorn. John Sullivan, Ed Sprague, Jack Morris. And there's Rob Butler with a single in the '93 World Series in Philadelphia.
Off Kurt Schilling.
Off Kurt
no
Schilling.
Less.
Made Canada oh so proud. And Rob and I talked before the game. He was a young kid hanging around Exhibition Stadium in the early '80s, hoping to one day play for the Jays. And he not only played for them, he won a World Series with them. What a great night tonight. A celebration of championships past. As Rod Barajas faces Jason Birkin. And this weekend, Pat, we get a look at the rotation of the Orioles' future. As Birkin tonight, Chris Tillman tomorrow, Brian Mattis on Sunday, a combined 2 major league victories between the 3 starters.
But good minor league numbers and good stuff. I am really anxious to watch some of these young pitchers that the Orioles had thought of. Maybe should we bring them up this year? Should we leave them in the minor leagues? But they've had a tough season, so they say, why not? If we're going to get some experience, why not do it at the major league level?
Well, Birkin won his major league debut against the Blue Jays way back on the 26th of May, as that hot shot is just fouled by Barajas, and hasn't won a game since. He's lost 9 straight decisions and has mixed 3 no decisions in there.
Really hasn't pitched deep in the ball game, something that Dave Tremblay needs from him. I've seen games 3, 4 innings, 5, couple of times, 6 innings. Tonight, by far, the best that I've seen him since that first time against Toronto back on May the 26th.
And he's really lucky to be here. They had put him back in the bullpen for a time, but Dave Tremblay wants to remain as patient as possible. And Birkin himself has said, you know, it's up to me to figure this out.
Right.
Because I can't expect to stay at this level if I don't win them some ball games, or at least throw some quality outings.
There was some thought after his last outing that maybe he should go back down to the minor leagues and work out his problem. But they have used all their young pitchers that they have in the minor leagues. They're all here. Ferguson, Tillman, Mattis, all the young pitchers that they had in their farm system, they have right up here in the big leagues, so there's no one else.
Well, Birkin strikes out Rod Barajas for the first out of this half of the 5th inning. 2-0 for the Jays here on the first of the reunion weekend games. They'll play tomorrow afternoon, Sunday afternoon, and then head off the road once again, beginning a series Monday night in New York. Now, Birkin claims his biggest problem is that when things are going wrong, he's rushing to the plate and letting his arm drag behind. Right. That's something you've heard being problematic for a lot of pitchers over time.
Yeah, just like hitting, pitching is timing, and you have to have good fundamentals, and everything has to kind of work together. If the lower half is not working together with the upper half, you are out of sorts, and you can't keep that ball in the strike zone. But he has a good arm. Look at that fastball, 92 miles an hour. That's plenty of fastball. It's location, changing of speeds, and keeping hitters off balance.
Facing the number 9 hitter, Joe Inglet, who fouls it back, 2 balls and 1 strike. Birkin spent all of last year at Double-A. He was 12-4 there in 25 starts, had an ERA at around 3.5. Played his college ball at Clemson University, and as a freshman had Tommy John surgery. As Inglet punches that to left field, Reimold coming in, it bounces in front of him and then gets away, and now Inglet scampers for second. Here's the throw, it's late, and he picks up the extra base.
You know, as a hitter, when you feel like you can take that extra base. And as soon as Joe Inglet hits this ball where he is jammed, he is thinking too. The ball hits and squirts just a little bit to the right of the left fielder. And Inglet, with good speed, is able to outrun the ball for extra bases. You know when you have a shot. You go over those scouting reports on the outfielders, who can throw, who can move around, all of that. So he knew that he had a chance as soon as he hit the ball that he could get the second.
There's Marcos Scutaro again. He's 0 for 2, flying out to center field in the first and striking out in the third. Durkin comes to the plate. It gets away from Wieters, but not very far. So Inglet stays put at second.
There are the numbers for Jason Durkin. First time through, an average about 350. It goes down, but then back up third time through. This is Scutaro's third at bat. Durkin had some high strikeout numbers last year in the minor leagues. Remember, he pitched in Double-A all of last season, so this is a big jump for him.
Certainly not unlike some of the jumps that we've seen already from some of the Blue Jays starting pitchers like Mark Zebczynski and Brett Cecil. 3-0, and that's right down the gut for strike one.
But the last thing you want to do as an organization is put your young pitchers in a position where they get shell shocked, where they get knocked around in the big leagues so much that they feel like they can't succeed. I've seen that happen before. The Orioles have made good decisions the last few years. Durkin would not be here if they didn't think that he can be successful.
Well, if you want to get a good look at highly touted prospects, make sure you join us for tomorrow and Sunday's game. Chris Tillman goes to the hill for the Orioles in that one. He was just called up recently, part of that trade with Seattle a year ago. Here's a payoff pitch to Scutaro. He turns away from the breaking ball and draws a walk against Durkin. Aaron Hill is the subject of our next Fast Fact, and it's brought to you by Rogers High-Speed Internet, 3 times faster than any other. And there is the deal. Hill, at his current pace, would be just the 6th Major League second baseman to lead his team in hits, home runs, and RBIs if he finishes atop those 3 categories by the end of the season. And he rips this to left field, and it's over the head of Reimold. He never had that one from the outset. As Inglet comes in and scores, a gift to Aaron Hill gives the Blue Jays their 3rd run.
But you know he'll take it. How many times have we said the hardest play for an outfielder is that line drive right over your head? Hill stings this ball. Fastball on the inner half. Watch it take off from this angle. Reimold comes in, and as soon as he takes a couple of steps in, he has no chance to recover. 22 doubles now for Aaron Hill and RBI, and the Jays are now out in front 3-0.
The double cashes Inglet. Hill adds to his RBIs total, now at 77. Infield in for the Orioles as Adam Lynn takes ball 1.
Lynn with 72 RBIs, so he is more than capable of knocking in these runs with just 1 out. Orioles are going to try and do something to make him get himself out. Maybe jam him with pitchers. They're going to try and keep that ball in the infield so another run doesn't score. If he throws him a strike, first of all, I'd be surprised. Second of all, it's probably a mistake.
That hangs over the plate, and Lynn just gets a piece. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Perkin in some trouble here with 2 men in scoring position for the Blue Jays. 1 run in on the Hill double. Lynn hitting an even 300. Gets a piece of the 1-2. The last second baseman in the big leagues to lead his team at the end of the year in hits, home runs, and RBIs was Jeff Kent of the 2005 Los Angeles Dodgers.
A couple other Hall of Famers on that list that you were just talking about. Second baseman lead their team in hits, home runs, and RBI.
That's grounded to the right side. Played by Wigginton. And now Roberts has to get over quickly and cover first as they get Lynn for the second out. In fact, the Hall of Famers you spoke of, only 5 men previously as second basemen have led their team in hits, home runs, and RBIs. 3 of them Hall of Famers. Ryan Sandberg of the Cubs in 1990. Charlie Gehringer of the Tigers in 1933. And Rogers Hornsby of the 1927 New York Giants. As Mark Hendrickson, the big lefty, gets up for the Orioles in their bullpen. 2 gone here in the bottom of the 5th, and Overbay goes after the first pitch.
It's a good aggressive swing there from Lyle Overbay. Runners on base. Pick one out and hit it hard. I'm not saying swing hard, but be aggressive.
Strike 2 on Overbay, who in the first week of June was the American League Player of the Week over a 6-game stretch, hitting .533 with 2 home runs and 8 RBIs, and he got a really nice watch out of it. Perkin with 2 strikes comes to the plate with a breaking ball, and he fools Overbay for strike 3. The Jays get a run on 2 doubles and lead it 3-0. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. We're back underway at Rogers Center here in Toronto. The roof is rolled back on a beautiful evening here. I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler, watching Matt Wieters come to the plate against rookie Ricky Romero. Wieters now officially the #1 catcher in town. Greg Zahn was traded to Tampa Bay earlier today. So in a roster move, as Wieters waves and misses, 1 ball and 2 strikes, the Orioles called up Chad Moeller from their AAA team. He'll back up Wieters, who arrived in the big leagues on the 29th of May after doing everything that was asked of him in AAA. So it's rookie against rookie here, 1 and 2, and Wieters doesn't go after that breaking ball outside. I came to the ballpark, was looking around for Zahn without knowing that he'd been traded, and called him, and I said, "Where are you?" He says, "I'm driving to the airport right now in Toronto. I've got to catch a plane to Seattle." As that's scorched down the line, just foul, and Gary Cederstrom does a nice job of getting out of the way.
So Zahn was on his way to the airport. So he came all the way here, found out he was traded today.
Now he's crossing the United States, but he's going from a non-contender to a contender, which should ease that 4-hour plane ride.
Oh, I'm sure he's real happy about getting into a pennant race. I mean, that's what it's all about from here on out.
Here's the 2-2, and that misses. And there's quite a buzz in Baltimore surrounding some of these players. Wieters foremost among them. Entering this year as the #1 prospect in all of baseball as he gets a piece there. And you can see why. A big, tall kid.
Big, strong switch hitter. His numbers in the minor leagues are off the chart. His power. They've had some high draft picks the last few years, and they're starting to filter into the big leagues now, and they're getting their feet wet.
That's down low for ball 4. As Romero slaps the glove, we find Sam Cosentino once again.
Well, Jamie, lucky enough to be joined by Dave Winfield, who took the mic in between innings 2 innings ago. And what's it mean for you to get back here to Toronto and be with the rest of the guys?
It means more than you'll ever know. I came up here just saying it'll be a reunion, but it's been very emotional. A lot of guys I haven't seen forever, but it's been a great day so far.
I mean, so well accomplished with the All-Star games, the Gold Glove, Silver Sluggers, the World Series. What does it mean to you?
The World Series is the epitome. That's what we try to accomplish in this game. Took me 20 years, came to Toronto, and then we made it happen. So it's part of history. It's a great thing.
An acquisition by Pat Gillick that many people say, including my broadcast partner Pat Tabler, that your leadership really helped put this team over the edge. Where did that come from inside, and how is it that you were able to lead the team?
Well, I tried to do what I could, but I had been around 20 years before I came here. And when I saw guys not doing the little things that they should, like clean out the locker room when it's game time, or really focus on the chores, the things they're supposed to do, I got on them. And but it was in a positive way. Everybody took it that way, and that's why we ended up winning.
Was there any particular moment or story with us that you might have thought that helped right the ship in that leadership regard?
Well, without using names, well, I'll say David Wells and a couple guys used to be in the locker room before the game is going on or national anthem being sung. And I said, Cito, where is everybody? He said, I don't know. So I was DHing. I'd go in the locker room, cleaned out 3 or 4 guys. I said, get out there. We're all in this together. So let's start getting on the right track. And that's what we did from then on.
If you look at a great story, and knowing Boomer, that seems very fitting for his personality. But I'm sure he learned the lesson. Talk about some of the guys that you played with, and on this team, Pat Gillick able to bring you in here. What did you think coming into Toronto, and what did you think about the club when you originally signed here?
Well, listen, we had all the pieces. Many teams are missing something. They're missing middle relievers, a starter, a closer, a big hitter or whatever, but we had everything. We had guys with speed, power, consistency, defense. We weren't missing anything. It was a matter of staying healthy. We could stay healthy, play together as a team. We thought we could win. When we stood on the baseline and looked at the opposition when they introduced teams, we knew we were better, but we had to prove it. And then when the season was over and we pulled it all together, I'll say this, it was the greatest thing because we didn't win for just a city or a state or just a team. We won for an entire nation. And it was the best thing in the world to win for Canada. It had never been done before, and so that was a page in history. It's in stone, and we love it.
Huge memories here from Dave Winfield as Cesar Asturis lines that ball up the middle. Runners in first and second. This ball hit right at Alex Rios for the first out of the inning. No tag at second by Wieters. One down. Here we are in the top of the sixth inning at the Rogers Center. The Blue Jays up 3-0. I'm with Dave Winfield. And Dave, continuing on with the interview here, you went out in the field and you really at the end of it talked about Cito Gaston. What did he mean to you, even though you'd been around for so long?
Well, I knew Cito when I first came up. I was a kid, and he was a veteran in San Diego. So we even roomed together for a short while before he was traded. So when I came over here, I told Cito, I said, as a free agent, I said, Cito, look, we got a chance of being in the playoffs. Don't have me just as a DH. I got to play in the field, because when we go to the World Series, I got to be in the field. He kind of looked at me and smiled, but he let me play. I played 27 games, I believe, in the field. I played 156 games total. And when it was time for the World Series, I was in that outfield.
Dave, not just a leader in the clubhouse, but obviously with the fans too. And you go back to that time, a famous interview, Winfield wants noise. Did that just come out of the top of your head?
Well, you know what it was? We were a good team, and there's a base hit to the left. Let's see, he's going to hold up at third.
Tabler's worried again. I mean, Pat Mortars earlier. Tabler's worried again. All right.
Let's see, where were we? I got off track.
Just talking about Cito and him playing you in the field, and then the Winfield wants noise interview. Where did that all come from?
You know, during the course of the year, the people up here are kind and nice, and when we would play, it was almost like we had to succeed, and then they would cheer. And when we got to the playoffs, I did an interview, and they asked me, I said, you know what? It's too much like a level playing field. We've got to get the people involved, the fans involved before it happens. Exhort us, move us to the next level. And there was about 50-50 media saying, that's a bad thing. I'm saying we're not good fans. And half of the people said, well, you know what? Let's make some noise. And then gradually the Winfield wants noise took precedence or was more important than the people thinking, is he saying we're not good fans?
Ball goes off of Overbay into right field. It goes. Weed comes around to score. So too does his Asturis. Throw into second base. And in safely is Nick Markakis. Just like that, they have cut into this lead. Jamie, we'll throw it back to you. Thanks so much, Dave.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Jamie?
Sam, thank you so much. As so many developments going on the field here, as that ball just ate up Lyle Overbay. And he is charged with an error on the play.
Yeah, to the backside, the backhand side here. It hits a seam and kind of takes a crazy hop on Overbay. By the time he runs it down, a couple of runs score. Markakis wheels around first and gets into second base. And now 3-2, second and third, still just one out.
Things were moving along so smoothly for Ricky Romero until this inning. Couple of base hits, a walk, and now the error charged to Overbay. Baltimore to within one. And Aubrey Huff is the batter. 2 balls and no strikes. Markakis now up at second. Adam Jones at third for the Orioles.
Well, what's been impressive about Romero until this inning is economical in his pitches. Giving up just 1 hit into this inning. He was having all 3 of his pitches throwing for strikes. A changeup, he was throwing a curveball, had a little bit of extra on his fastball.
This is third time through the order for the Orioles here against Romero. Facing him for the third time this year. 2 balls and a strike on Huff. Here's the kick and the pitch. And it misses, ball 3. Romero has been a winner in his last 3 games. And third time through the order has been troublesome. A .314 average. This one looped into center field, and it's a base hit. Jones comes in, and this game is suddenly tied at 3. As Huff keeps the line moving with an RBI single.
Beginning of this game, the fastball from Ricky Romero was down. We talked about him staying on top of his fastball, and it was down. Now it's starting to leak up a little bit. Aubrey Huff is a good hitter, and he is not going to miss this type of pitch with runners on base. Solid single to center field, scores Jones. Markakis moves up. This whole inning started with the walk to Wieters.
Well, Arnsberg comes out. And who's doing all the talking here? We got a chance there to hear from Dave Winfield. And before the game, we were watching the 11th inning of Game 6 in 1992 with 2 out, 2 men on for the Jays. Winfield up, and they showed a close-up of you as we see Sean Camp warming up for the Jays, sitting nervously in the dugout beside Todd Stottlemyre. What was going through your mind when he doubled down the line?
Well, we knew then, right there. He came over here for one reason, to drive in big runs. Bring an attitude, drive in big runs, and that's exactly what he did. You just knew he was going to do it. And as soon as that ball went down the left field line, I said, boy, with our bullpen, we've got this one. It was still a little nervousness to go. But how fitting to bring Dave Winfield over for that situation, and he comes through.
Here's Nolan Reimold, the left fielder. 0 for 2. His cannon shot back to Romero was stabbed by the pitcher in the 5th. He chops this one to third. Then Carnicion goes to second. Over to first. And it pulls Overbay off the bag. So on the play, Markakis comes in and the Orioles take the lead.
It'll go as a fielder's choice. And that's a tough double play. You got to go around the horn. This throw a little high and throwing the timing off a little bit by Aaron Hill. Good job right there by Huff, the veteran, to go in and upset Aaron Hill. You went in high. You slide and you pop up and you try and get into the legs of that second baseman. Try and mess up his timing. It worked. And give Reimold an RBI.
So the Orioles have scored 4 times here in the 6th inning. And now lead by 1 as they bring Melvin Mora back. Romero was pitching no-hit ball with 2 out in the 5th when he finally gave up a base hit to Mora, who singled to center field. And has started to unravel a little bit here in the 6th inning.
This is a good learning process right here for a young pitcher. You get off to a great start in the game, you just mow through them through 5 innings. There are the pitches per inning. We talked about his pitch count being down. Now you find yourself in a little trouble. Maybe you're getting tired a little bit. Okay, let's find it. Let's get the train back on the tracks here. What do I need to do? That's why you see pitchers pitch in the minor leagues for so long, because if they do run into trouble, you have to learn. It's imperative that you learn. What do I need to do to get it back on track? Maybe I don't have that 92, 93 mile an hour fastball. Maybe I'm down to 89 or 90. So you have to make the adjustment.
That kind of fatigue in ball games may come into play a lot more now as we move toward the middle and end of August. A lot of these young pitchers, like Romero, unaccustomed to pitching long seasons, lots of innings. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Mora, fouled back 2-2.
In every pitch is with a purpose. You know, every pitch is all out against these great teams. I mean, there's no easy batters in some of these lineups. Maybe you can get away with that in the minor leagues where you take a couple batters off and maybe you don't maximum effort. Can't do that here. Every pitch means something.
Runner goes. 2-2 breaking ball hit in the air to center field. And under it is Wells. And that's the final out. But the Orioles take the lead with 4 runs in the 6th inning.
The Jays on Rogers Sportsnet. Brought to you by Home Hardware and Home Hardware Building Center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
There's the picture of dejection on the bench. Ricky Romero, who sees the Orioles score 4 times in the 6th inning. His performance on the hill undermined to a degree by the costly error committed by Lyle Overbay. So the Orioles pick up 4 runs and have a 1-run lead as the Blue Jays bring Wells, Rios, and Encarnacion to the plate here in the 6th inning. I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler and Sam Cosentino tonight. They were expecting a big crowd for the first night of this reunion weekend, and they got one so far. 30,795 the paid attendance here at Rogers Center. Many of them in the upper deck still finding their seats in the 2nd and 3rd innings, as Jason Birkin sees that ball played by Mora on a short hop, and it's dug out by Wigginton for out number 1. And once again we bring in Sam Cosentino.
Jamie, thanks so much. With Rob Butler, the first Canadian to play for a Canadian team at the World Series. You get a couple of at-bats in the 93 World Series, a hit, a run. What do those memories mean to you?
Oh, they mean everything. Just being back with the guys and, going back and looking back at those years and everything they did for the city. And, for me as a kid, I was a baseball player because of the Toronto Blue Jays. And I got a hit in the World Series playing for the Toronto Blue Jays. It's a dream come true. Nothing could ever top that baseball-wise for me.
Your brother Rich, who's beside you here later, made it to the big leagues with the Blue Jays as well. Talk about what that means, having the brother combination, being able to do it for the same organization and the Canadian organization in that.
Yeah, well, in the parks in East York, he used to beat me all the time in a game called Burby. And then in the big leagues, he hit more home runs than me there, too. I'm not surprised. But, we were best friends on and off the field, but everything together. Came up through the Jays system together. The Jays gave us the opportunity of a lifetime. We run our camps now, do our home run academy. We're teaching the kids how to play baseball. And it all stems from playing for the Toronto Blue Jays and all the good people that I was around, learning the game from. Willie Upshaw, Larry Heisel. Just great people that taught us how to play the game.
Your son Elijah will get the TV memories of this, obviously, but going back to the 93, Joe Carter hits the home run. Take me through where you are on the bench, what's happening, and what's going on in your mind when it all explodes.
I was like a big fan on just happened to be sitting on the bench. That was what it was like for me. I was nervous as all hell, praying for Joe to come through. We all knew he would. And, I was right by Cito. And then when the crack of the bat, we couldn't see the ball because he hit it so hard. But I was just watching him jump up and down, and that's when everything went crazy. It was the best time ever, man.
As Alex Rios goes out down on strikes, Jamie, Edwin Encarnacion steps up. We'll send it back to you in the booth, Jamie.
Thank you so much, Sam, and great to see the Butler brothers, Rob and Rich, now in business together, not far from downtown Toronto.
That is so cool what they are doing. It's going to be like the next wave of players that you see eventually, because when you get good instruction and that good foundation as a young player, it can't help but grow into good players.
This ball popped up. Wigginton goes out. He's right along the line, and he takes care of Encarnacion. And Jason Birkin has settled in here after 6. It's the Orioles by 1. Ricky Romero's night now comes to an end after 6 innings of work and one really rough inning, and that was his last.
Yeah, it was the leadoff walk and then the single to the 8 and 9 hitters, but the error cost him a couple runs. 2 earned runs in the 4 that he gave up, 90 pitches. He's cruising through the first 5, so he will give way to Jesse Carlson, who makes his way into the game. This is for the 50th time this year, 1-4 with an ERA over 5. He's had a couple of save opportunities and now a chance to get him back on track. He started off the season hot, and lately his pitches have floated up in the strike zone, and the batters have been hitting him. Carlson last pitched a couple of days ago against the Yankees when he pitched an inning and gave up a run.
He has the rubber arm, though. 50 appearances now, most by a Blue Jay pitcher. And in the 7th inning, greets Ty Wigginton with strike 1. Wigginton struck out twice facing Romero. Falls behind here, 0-2. Carlson in his 2nd season with the Blue Jays.
When he is going well, he stays on top of that breaking ball just a little bit more, meaning his hand is on top of the ball. So when he comes through with that crossfire motion that we see, he gets a little bit more bite on his ball. When he starts to drop down like he does, he comes around the ball, and he doesn't have the good snap on his breaking ball. I think that's why we've seen over his last 14 games, he's thrown 12 innings and he's given up 6 earned runs.
The 1-2 pitch inside at the knees on Wigginton, 2-2. And of course, Carlson first came up with the Jays about 2 weeks into last season, just after the Blue Jays returned Randy Wells to the Cubs. He gets Wigginton swinging for out number 1. And once again, we bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, the guests keep flowing here. My golf partner from yesterday, Woody Williams, steps in, and you come up in 93, but a lot of these guys played with in the minor leagues. When you watched what happened in 92, what were you thinking about some of the guys you had played with?
It's just amazing that the hard work they put in the minor leagues, and able to come up here in Toronto and be a part of the first World Series here was incredible. You couldn't help but to pull for the guys.
An unbelievable staff that you pitched on when you came up here in 93. Talk about some of the learning experiences you had and guys you learned from.
Well, I think that would help my career, is just being able to be a part of this team, and with all the guys that were on the team, Dave Stewart and you have Jack Morris, Stottlemyre, all the guys that have been through it and have struggled and then had success, and they were able to teach me how to play the game and basically how to handle myself.
Galen Cisco is here as Wieters drives that ball to right field. Rios has a beat, can't catch up to it. One hops it off the wall and will hold Wieters to a single. We're with Woody Williams here up in the 400 Summit Suite, talking a little bit about this reunion. How have you enjoyed your time seeing some of the players that you played with, grew up with, watched? How's it been for you?
Oh, it's been great, especially since a lot of us had left and finished our careers elsewhere, and have the opportunity to play against some of these guys. So it really made it special. But it's my first time back since '98, and it's a great time.
Any particular memory you can share from that '93 team of something that really just sticks out, or maybe when you thought that team would have a chance of repeating?
I just they kept making additions, and the team kept getting better. Always on the field, we kept on playing hard. But then Pat Gillick went out and got more pieces of the puzzle, and it just made the team that much stronger. And when you step back now and look at the guys we had on that team, it's just crazy how good we were.
You look like you're still in playing shape as Encarnacion dives. He gets it over to second base for the force out to at least pick up the 1 out. But having seen your golf game yesterday, I know you're not golfing these days. What are you doing?
Well, I'm hanging out with my family and getting ready to start being a high school coach at my kids' high school, and looking forward to that. But no, I'm not playing much golf.
Guys, Woody Williams, I had him yesterday. Surely we didn't win the tournament. Let's send it back to you, Jamie.
Oh, okay. Way to go, Sam. Throw him under the bus, why don't you?
Right on.
That's okay. Nice to hear from Woody Williams, who's one of those returning players who looks like he could just step back into uniform and take the ball again.
I bet you he could.
Brian Roberts turns away from the Carlson offering. Roberto Alomar still looks like he could play, but mind you, Alomar hasn't been out of the game that long. He retired just prior to the 05 season after a spring training stint with Tampa Bay.
You got to see him
in his last game. Odd to see him play in a spring game for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays against the Blue Jays. And you kind of got the sense that if he didn't make that team, he was not going to play baseball anymore. And Alomar was true to his word.
A lot of them look like they're in great shape. Devon White, you get a chance to see him. Bet you he could still play.
He's now employed by the Washington Nationals. Alfredo Griffin, as you know, is a coach with the Los Angeles Angels. David Cohn is a broadcaster with the Yankees, so a lot of these players had to take time off from baseball responsibilities just to come and join this weekend celebration.
Al Leiter, same way.
Yep.
With Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Network and the Yes Network.
Well, they'd like to see a victory here for the Blue Jays, who trail the Orioles 4-3. Top of the 7th inning. 3 balls and a strike on Brian Roberts. Runner breaks, and it's ball 4. So Carlson, after giving up the Wieters single, the fielder's choice, now a walk to Roberts, has 2 men on, and Cito Gaston makes that slow walk to the mound from the dugout. He'll go to the bullpen and pull out Brandon League. So we've got a pitching change here at Rogers Center with 2 men on for the Orioles, and we shall return as you watch the Jays and Orioles on Rogers Sportsnet. The game live on your computer with MLB.tv. It's the ultimate baseball experience, featuring 100 out-of-market games every week live on your computer. And now you can enjoy live baseball on your iPhone or iPod Touch with MLB At Bat app. For more details, please visit BlueJays.com. Here's Adam Jones, 1 for 3, as he greets Brandon League. League fresh into the game from the bullpen. Gets a ground ball, and that's his forte. There's the force at second, and that erases Roberts and gets Carlson and the Jays out of the 7th.
Welcome back to the Rogers Center. Bottom of the 7th inning. Blue Jays trailing the Orioles 4th. With Joe Carter now, who spearheaded this entire reunion week together.
Well, they came together with Chris Samdio, a good friend of mine who works with the Morvis. He talked to me and put me in touch with James Dodd at TD Bank. We talked about it last year, about a year from now. He said, what do you think? You think it's a doable plan? Can I get the guys here? I said, yeah, I can get the guys here. And one thing led to another. TD came up with a lot of money to back this whole program, a lot of sponsors. So it's been a tremendous weekend, and we've had a great time here so far.
I know just in my experience and looking at the guys and their faces, they're really happy and excited to be here. How much enjoyment are you getting out of seeing what the other guys and how much they're enjoying?
Well, you know, I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of seeing all the ball-headed guys, you know, the ones that have lost their hair. And I still have mine, thank you very much. But, no, anytime you can go back and relive those moments. We had a time on the bus coming from golf yesterday. It seemed like it was back in 1992, 93. You know, after a game, we were maybe heading to Hamilton to catch the plane to go to the next city. So, you know, we wanted to find out what time the next game was. But a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
It must be kind of mixed emotions because you're the last out in both World Series, and obviously the 93 one will go down in history. But can you pick one as far as your teammates go and how you experienced it, the first one or the home run?
You know, it's tough, but they say there's nothing sweeter than the first one. I mean, when Timlin threw me the ball, and I had a big smile on my face as the ball was coming towards me, and to jump up and down because that first one is always the toughest one. And so I think that was the better one, if you ask me.
Melvin Moore, a great play to get Rod Barajas at first, still battling that hamstring injury. One down in the inning here. And, Joe, let's talk a little bit about, here it is, they're showing Otis Nixon here now. You come off the bag, you're jumping up and down. When did it finally sink in that you were the champs?
You know what? You play your whole life to get to be in that moment to win a World Series, and that's what we played the game for, was to get that ring. And we came to spring training that year with a mission in mind. It said we will, we can, and we are, because we were the Blue Jays, and that was our goal. And to see it finally come to fruition in the end, it was unbelievable, unbelievable.
Ryan Roberts over to first base, and Joe Inglet is out, 2 down in the inning. And, Joe, the last question we have for you as we're about to take it back to the booth. Your experiences here in Toronto, when you talk about the repeat, how hard was it to come back in 93, knowing that everyone was gunning for you in 92?
Well, it's very hard to repeat. That's why it hasn't been done in a very long time. And because you're going to be a marked team. But the good thing for us that Pat Gillick and Paul Beeson did not sit still in the same team we had. We had a turnover of about, I think, 13 guys, and then we brought in some guy, Hall of Famer named, Paul Molitor. And so we quickly changed our focus and said, hey, let's win one for Molly, and that was our whole goal, and we ended up doing that for Paulie.
One last quick question. Obviously, the home run, Mitch Williams. What's going through your mind in that at-bat? To end it or just to keep it going?
No, don't look bad. Don't strike out. Don't hit it to double play. But, no, I was looking to just continue the game. I know I had 2 fast guys on base. If I found the gap somewhere, they both score. But lucky for me, you know, we all 3 scored. So I touched them all.
And that call from Tom Cheek, I mean, that must just ring in your head over and over.
You know what? That's classic. That's something that you cannot practice. I mean, you have to go out there and you experience the moment. You're caught up in the moment. You never know what you're going to say, but Tom did a wonderful job. God rest his soul.
Touch them all, Joe. Jamie, we send them back to you.
And we miss Tom around here. Thank you, Sam. So great to hear from Joe Carter, and wonderful to see Shirley Cheek, who was here as part of the ceremonies prior to the game.
You know what I didn't realize through all of that, all these years later? Joe Carter is the only player. He touched the ball the last time in both of those World Series.
Yep.
He's the last player to touch it.
Yeah. What a thrill. What a thrill. And somewhat reluctantly gave up the ball to Mike Timlin.
Did he?
I
didn't know that.
In Game 6, and Timlin has it stashed somewhere safely. And we're happy to report that Joe got the home run ball from 93. As Marcos Scutero strikes out looking, he's a victim of Matt Albers in relief here. Still a 4-3 lead for the Orioles after 7.
Sportsnet, brought to you by Home Hardware and Home Hardware Building Center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
Back in Toronto as Brandon Lee continues for the Jays. We have reached the 8th inning here in game 1 of 3 between the Orioles and the Jays. 4-3 Baltimore. This is Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler and Sam Cosentino. First pitch swinging, and Markakis grounds out. That gives us a chance to wish a happy belated 90th birthday today to Roger Holliston, who is watching in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. One gone for Aubrey Huff, who's driven in a run tonight. Strike one from Brandon Lee. Ricky Romero was terrific through 5, giving up just a walk and a single. But things fell apart in that 6th inning. He allowed 4 runs. And the door was opened wide by Lyle Overbay, who committed an error on a ground ball down the line by Markakis.
You know, don't know if they would have been able to turn 2 on that play. But that, you're right, that just opened things up. Aubrey Huff followed up with a single. Fielder's choice scored another run. So 2 unearned runs.
A valiant attempt to dive and get the ball there from Hill, but it sneaks through for a base hit, and Huff is aboard with his 2nd hit of the ball game. Sean McCormick and Martine Guyard are standing by with tonight's edition of Sportsnet Connected. And what a scene in Cole Harbor as Sidney Crosby brought the Stanley Cup home. They'll have pictures from the East Coast and get you updated on all the games across the major leagues. As Nolan Reimold is back up. Reimold hitting .322 since the All-Star break. Has really forced his way into Dave Tremblay's lineup as an everyday player.
Got off to a sensational start. Hitting home runs, walk-off home runs.
Hit a big one against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I know all about that.
Ryan Wolf gave up a 3-run shot to Reimold on the 27th of May.
Then went into a little bit of a slump where pitchers made adjustments to him. And he's starting to come out of it as that ball gets away from Barajas. That'll be a wild pitch on Brandon Lee. Reimold, high draft pick by the Orioles just a few years ago out of Bowling Green. The thing about Brandon Lee is he throws so hard. He leads the relievers in strikeouts this year. He's got great movement on all of his pitches.
And he deflects that ball into right field. And so here comes Huff to score. And the Orioles get a gift. It looked as if perhaps Hill had cover on that ball, but League tried to field it. And the Orioles add an extra run here.
You know, when things are going bad, little things like this happen. If there isn't a wild pitch, that's a double play ball, inning over. But it's a wild pitch. He goes to second base. And instead of catching it, he deflects it into right field. You're right. If he lets that ball go, and you can't tell the pitcher to let the ball go. Your first reaction is to try and catch it. He doesn't. It glances off his glove. And on the turf, it rolls out in the right field. Nothing you can do with that. A big hit and an RBI, and now a pinch runner for Reimold.
There's Felix P.A. looking intently at Brandon Lee, who watches the Orioles now take a 2-run lead. Melvin Mora is the batter, 1 for 3. Mora has encountered struggles the last little while, just 4 for his last 27. League delays. And waits a little longer before coming to the plate for ball number 1. Mora, too, was a walk-off hero for the Orioles earlier this year, July 11th against Jesse Carlson. His home run ended a 50-game homerless stretch.
I do not believe he's hit one since.
I think you're right.
Some inconsistent playing time, as Dave Tremblay, the manager of the Orioles, wants to get some other players into the lineup. PA, one of them, Wigington, another one.
Here's League with the 2-1. And now 2-2 on Mora. Road games, excuse me, Pat, have been an absolute graveyard for the Orioles this year. In the East, on the road this year, they've won 2 and lost 18.
We were talking about that before the game, and it just seems hard to believe.
They were swept in 4 in New York, swept in 3 here. As that one gets away from Barajas, they've been swept a few times. Only a victory in Tampa Bay and a victory in Boston. And that's all that the Orioles have to show for in now 21 games on the road within their division. And you thought the Blue Jays had problems winning on the road.
Or playing within the East.
Yes, that's been a sore point too. Entering tonight, the Blue Jays are 12 and 24 within their division as the 3-2 pitch is fouled behind Barajas. They'll get it started again here tomorrow in a battle of rookies. And you can join us on Sportsnet at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Brett Cecil goes for victory number 6. He's 5-1 on the year. Up against rookie Chris Tillman. Runner goes, grounded up the middle. There's Hill behind the bag at second. He throws out Mora and gets the second out.
That time it worked with the runner starting. Hill's covering. If he doesn't start that runner, I think that's a base hit up the middle. But Hill covers and makes the play on the shortstop side of second base. Gotta save this run right here. If you're the infield right here, anything on the ground, you have got to knock it down. You can't let that ball get into the outfield. That's a very precious run at second base.
It rolls right up the middle for a base hit. PA is waved home. No throw from Wells. Another counts for the Orioles. It's now 6-3 for Baltimore. And Ty Wigington drives home the extra run. He had struck out all 3 times previously tonight.
He was having a horrible night. 3 punch outs, but with 2 outs. They send the runner. It ends up working out. Stays out of the double play. And then hits this ball right back through the middle. No chance for any of the infielders to get to that ball and knock it down. It's a clean single to center field. And they cash in that run with 2 out.
The Orioles have simply turned this game around from the 6th inning on, scoring 4 against Romero to chase him after 6. Now adding 2 more against Brandon League in the 8th.
That's one of the things that the Orioles do really well this year, is hit with runners in scoring position. Their overall offensive numbers are decent. They aren't great, they're decent. But hitting with runners in scoring position, second in the American League with a team average of almost 300. We have seen that here tonight.
And you can pretty well trace it all back to Wieder's walk to lead off the 6th inning. To that point, Romero had been dealing, walking only one and giving up just one base hit. But he walked Wieters to begin the 6th. Gave up a ground ball base hit up the middle to Asturias. As Wieters drives this one to the gap in left center field, and that's extra bases for the catcher. Wigginton is waved around third. Scudero comes up with it, no relay, a double by Wieters, and it's now a 7-3 lead.
Getting a glimpse of what the Orioles have in store for the next few years. Matt Wieters, watch him stay inside that ball. See how his hands were inside? Showing opposite field power. That ball just slicing away from Vernon Wells. No chance for any of the outfielders to run that one down. He has the ability to score runners from first base with extra base power. And that will be it. Cito wants to come out and talk to his reliever, Brandon Lee. And we'll make the change.
Well, to the disappointment of a fairly large crowd here tonight, Cito Gaston has to go to his bullpen once again, and this time he brings out right-hander Jeremy Accardo.
Good numbers for Accardo this year, an ERA under 3. He has been in 17 ball games. He was sent down, optioned to Las Vegas, but didn't go anywhere. That was at the end of July. He was recalled right back a couple of days later.
After an injury to Scott Downs.
After the injury to Downs when he was placed on the disabled list. Good numbers for Accardo. He has had experience closing for the Jays. He was great when B.J. Ryan was on the DL with his elbow problems.
There's Cesar Asturias, and then Accardo last year near the beginning of the season was sidetracked with a right forearm strain, and he really hasn't been the same since, up and down to the minor leagues.
Remember how innocent that was also in Cleveland?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he left the game because of a forearm strain. Well, put on the 2-week DL, and you talk to the guys. They said, well, he should be back in a couple of weeks. He should be fine.
Never saw him again.
Never pitched again last year.
And then did not make the team out of spring training this year. Cito, and rightly so, wanted to go with the very effective bullpen that he had intact at the end of last year as it's fouled away. And the manager, as you saw when he went to the mound to get the ball from Brandon League, is not a happy person right now.
Wasn't happy. You play this game to win. Someone was asking me before the game, what are the Blue Jays playing for from here on out? Are they just playing for pride? No, you're playing to win. You play this game to win. I don't care where you are in the standings or what stats you have or any of that. You play this game to win. All 25 of them. And Cito hates losing. Showed in his face when he was out on that mound.
Here in the 8th, the Orioles have scored 3 times. As Sturis at the dish, 2-2. That's in at the belt. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Rookie Matt Weeder stands at second after an RBI double. Cashed Ty Wigginton. And a game that early on had the Jays on top 3-0, and Ricky Romero, pitching oh so well, has gotten out of hand. Ball 4. Manager won't be very happy when you come in and walk the number 9 hitter.
Number 9 hitter, that's right, especially when you are ahead. Jeremy Ricardo got ahead of him and cannot finish him off, and now has to face a dangerous hitter in Brian Roberts.
Roberts becomes the 8th man to bat for the Orioles in this inning.
The Orioles, like the Blue Jays, have a couple of hitters who can hit doubles. These are 2 of the best teams in the American League at hitting 2-baggers.
And Roberts is right at the top of that list.
Right, 38 of them. Followed right behind by Adam Lynn. Nick Markakis is another one. He might not be a real big guy, but he's got some pop in that bat.
Here's the 1-strike pitch. And that's low and away. Ball 1. Roberts has walked twice, lined out twice. Came flying home in the 4th inning with Huff up on a pitch that got away from Rod Barajas, but Barajas was able to shovel the ball to Romero, and they got Roberts at home plate as he takes the strike 1 and 2.
First 2 batters, he has not been able to command that fastball in the inner half. He's trying to get these left-handers looking out over the plate and then bust them in with a good fastball, but he hasn't been able to locate it yet.
Two men on for the Orioles. Here's the pitch off the plate. Now a 3-2 count, and this crowd is growing restless. The runners will go in movement here with 2 gone. Here comes the pitch, and it's popped up well behind home and out of reach for Rod Barajas. So Roberts is able to survive and hang around a little while longer.
This has been a problem the last few games for the Blue Jays, giving up runs late. The Yankees outscored them in the 2 games from the 7th inning on 9-3. Tight games getting knocked open late in the game. 3 runs here in the 8th have widened this one up.
Ricardo sets on 3-2 again, and that's up and in for ball 4. Do you get a sense of disenchantment about the building, Pat?
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, you come to the ballpark, you want to see the home team win, especially the way Ricky Romero was throwing at the beginning of the game.
And especially on a night like tonight,
right,
where they paraded the two World Series teams out onto the field. This night has been about celebrating two great teams of the past. And the Blue Jays certainly started well, jumping out to a 3-0 lead behind Ricky Romero. But they seem to be finishing poorly here, down 7-3. And here's Accardo having trouble with a very good hitter, Adam Jones, hitting right at 300.
Yeah, you're just asking for trouble when you get behind good hitters like Roberts and Jones and Markakis and Huff. Strikes have been hard to come from. Right here by Accardo in this inning. Just 5 of the 15 pitches.
Here's the 2-1. And he gets a swing from Jones.
Got plenty of fastball. 94 miles an hour.
The 2-2. Fouled away. Well, he's always had the giddy up. Velocity's never really been a problem with Accardo.
He's the type of pitcher that can throw 3 pitches coming out of the bullpen, like Jason Frazier, Brandon Lee. But you have to locate. You have to get him over in big situations.
And he's facing a player here maturing seemingly by the day in Adam Jones. 2-2. Bases loaded for the Orioles. The pitch is driven into the seats in right field and out of play again.
Looks like Jones is sitting on a breaking ball, looking for that strikeout pitch. That's why he has hit those 2 fastballs to the right side, fouling them off. He's looking for that off-speed pitch that Accardo can use for strikeouts.
A line shot, gloved on a short hop by Hill, and he throws out Jones to end all this craziness in the 8th inning. An inning in which the Orioles score 3 times. It's now 7-3 Baltimore.
Set to lead it off, joined now by Tom Henke, World Series champ in 1992. When it was discovered that you were going to come to the Toronto Blue Jays, what was the thought process for you?
Well, I wanted to know if it was a major league team at first, but, it was the greatest opportunity in my baseball career to come up here to such a wonderful city. Coming into the heat of a pennant race in 1985 was a wonderful thing. They treated me good since the minute I got here, and it's always nice to come back.
Talk about that experience in 85 and then in 87, 89. It's kind of an up-down roller coaster. What did those experiences mean to win in 92?
Well, it was work all the way through. It was something that culminated all through the years from 85 through 92, and something that all the guys worked at. But to have it, before I left, to win a World Series, that's what you dream of as a kid. That's something you'll never forget.
And now you get to share those and relive those memories. And of all the guys that I've observed here in the box and over the course of yesterday at the golf tournament, you really seem to be enjoying yourself, maybe more than anyone here. And why so much enjoyment out of all that?
Well, you sit at home and you get busy with your life, and sometimes I got to look at my ring and just make sure I was even there, So, but coming back and seeing guys that I haven't seen in 17 years, and you build such a special bond with those guys and become such good friends, that's something that'll never end, and just getting to see these guys is wonderful.
Go back to 92, and other than the actual final out, what is it that you remember most about the run getting to the World Series?
Well, just the whole season. I remember in spring training coming in how much the media had put on us, say that if we didn't win at all, it was not a successful season. So, that was put on us right at the beginning. But just the way the team came together as the season went along, the front office made a few really nice moves at the end to help us out, and just culminated in a World Series and at first American League Championship Series, and then getting in the World Series. That was just gravy, and then winning it was the icing on the cake.
On a personal note, what made you so successful? Over 300 saves in your career. What made you so successful?
Short memory. No, it was just a determination to want to be the best. That I could be whatever level it was that I wanted to play at. I was never satisfied with just being there. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the best closer in the history of the game if I could. And so, somebody asked me if I have any regrets. I've got no regrets. I gave the game everything I could give it while I was healthy enough and strong enough to play it. So it was fun, and now it's time for the young kids to do it.
Tom, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Well, guys, he might not have been the very best, but surely one of the best to ever come in and close it out, especially in the history of this ball club with Aaron Hill on first base. Jamie?
It was so nice to know that big man, along with Dwayne Ward, was in the back of that bullpen.
That's why, Blue Jay fans for all those years enjoyed really 7-inning games, because after 7, it was essentially over the way those two performed. And he's got the modern Blue Jay cap on right now. I think Sam should send him down to the bullpen, throw on a jersey, and warm him up.
I'm sure he could throw one of those hard splitters that he had, just to terminate it. They call him the Terminator, but I call him the Determinator. He was determined to win games and save games, and one of the louder ovations was saved for him, for the big Hengenstein, along with Alomar, Carter, Molitor, Winfield. Those guys all got the big ovations.
2-1 as Adam Lind, the number 3 hitter, is 0 for 3 tonight. A leadoff single by Hill. Kick starts a little action in the Orioles bullpen. There's Chris Ray, their one-time closer, up and warming. And of course, this is a team that recently traded its closer. The Orioles sent George Sherrill to the Dodgers. Up by 4, Baltimore here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 2-2 on Lind. He slaps this one to second. Roberts turns for second, and they get 1. So Lind is on thanks to a fielder's choice. Hill is erased. And with 1 away, Lyle Overbay comes to the plate. the weekend has only begun for some of these alumni. You can't be terribly surprised that about 35 guys have come north for this celebration.
35? Is that
somewhere around that total? I know we're missing players like Ricky Henderson, who's got some commitments, and Derek Bell isn't here, and there are a lot of players that were unable to make it, but quite a healthy showing. And it's only just begun.
How about a walk-off win?
Wouldn't that look nice? Overbay tonight at the plate is 0 for 2. Had a decent road trip through Seattle and Oakland. Hit a pair of home runs, once in Seattle, once in Oakland. Here's the 1-1. A breaking ball that's a little low from Matt Albers. And what the Orioles have done here by scoring 7 runs is give Jason Birkin an opportunity to pick up a victory, something he has not enjoyed in a long, long time. Loser of 9 straight decisions since his major league debut against the Blue Jays in late May. There goes Lind, and it's a strike as the Orioles show defensive indifference. Albers the 3-2 off the plate, ball 4. Well, tomorrow here at Rogers Center, it's a day game that starts just after 1 o'clock local time. So for those who are coming to the ballpark and hoping to get autographs from your favorite player, here are the places to be at the appropriate times. And this is happening outside Rogers Center beginning at 11:45 in the morning. Alomar, Guzman, Lee, Steve, Key, Cox, Henke, Stewart, Sprague, Cone, they'll all be around. As Dave Tremblay brings in Chris Ray, we'll check his numbers when we continue on Sportsnet. For the Orioles for a brief period, saving 33 in 06, but he has really battled some injuries the last little while. Had Tommy John surgery and is just now beginning his comeback as a prominent member of the Orioles bullpen.
It's starting to look like the Ray we saw from a few years ago. Lots of arms and elbows into that. He throws hard. You mentioned the 33 saves. That was back in 2006. He came back with 16 in 43 games the next year. Missed all of last year with that Tommy John surgery.
Here he faces Vernon Wells with 2 on and 1 out in the 8th inning. Ray is all arms and legs. as he's able to get ahead here of Wells. 0-2.
He has pitched well of late. Season high 2 2/3 when the Orioles were in Detroit right before this trip here to Toronto.
Breaking ball, base hit left field. Lynn turns for home. And now here's the throw into third as Wells picks up second as Overbay slides in safely. And the Blue Jays get back on the board. It's now a 7-4 lead, Baltimore. These are the kind of things you look for from Vernon Wells. Clutch base hits, keeps the line moving, and closes the gap down to 3.
Hanging slider. You see Wieters wanted that ball away. Wells with a shorter swing this time. Knocks in another run. He homered his first time up. Not a smart play by PA, the left fielder. Taking the double play out of order now. Tried to get Overbay. They weren't going to get him. Wells alertly moves up to second base. Now he's in scoring position. We're a single, and we're a 1-run game.
The 0-1 pitch to Rios is flied to right field. Markakis was well back there, and he slides and makes the catch. Overbay tags, and he's in. Boy, what a catch, Nick Markakis.
You are right. He was way off the line in right center field and playing deep because Rios is the tying run. He had a long way to go. He gets to the ball and then makes a shoestring catch. Look at that. The concentration by Markakis to keep his eye on that ball and the presence of mind to get up quickly and try and get Overbay at the plate. Got a great throwing arm with no chance after he has to go to the turf to make the catch.
So the Jays count a second run as Overbay scores. Rios drives in his second run of the ball game. It's now 7-5, and they will bring here in the bottom of the 8th inning the tying run to the plate in Edwin Encarnacion. So here is the new third baseman, 1 for 3, and he takes strike 1 from Ray. Encarnacion in 4 games prior with the Jays has 3 hits and 16 at bats. He rolls this one to Mora at third, who has time to get it to first and does for the out. That's the inning. The Blue Jays scored twice on 2 hits. It's now Baltimore 7 and the Blue Jays 5.
For your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
On Sunday, the first 10,000 people into the building get the Tom Henke figurine presented by TD Canada Trust. Join us here at the ballpark. The Jays and Orioles start a ball game shortly after 1 o'clock local time. For tickets, BlueJays.com is information. And Rogers Plus locations have tickets as well. There's the Terminator in the building tonight and watching the Blue Jays trailing the Orioles 7-5 as we begin the 9th inning. New man on the mound is Sean Camp as he goes to work now on Nick Markakis.
Blue Jays 4th reliever tonight. Carlson 2/3, Brandon League an inning, Cardo a third, and now Sean Camp, who has been off for about a week. Last pitched on the 31st out in Oakland. Sometimes you run guys out there day after day after day. They need a break. They need a little bit of a break to catch their breath and get that fastball back.
And Camp is one of those pitchers. He's a lot like Jesse Carlson in that respect, and that you can use him game after game if necessary.
But then you have to give him a break.
It's Markakis at the dish, Aubrey Huff on deck. And then Felix P.A. scheduled for the Orioles here in the 9th inning. 7-5 Baltimore. Here's the 3-1 pitch. And that misses. He walks Markakis. The Blue Jays have scratched back to within 2. Camp can ill afford to allow the Orioles to increase that lead, so he'll have to focus in now on Aubrey Huff, the designated hitter. Huff is 2 for 4. He's driven in a run and scored one. Hit on the ground and taken by Overbay, but it's in foul ground, so they'll try it again.
For the most part, Sean Camp's strike percentage has been good this year. He has come out of that bullpen and thrown strikes. Cito Gaston has given him consistent work. When his breaking ball is working and he's throwing it for strikes, he's got a couple of pitches that can do different things. At times he's been very good.
He's got the 1-1 on the way, and that's right on the corner. A ball and 2 strikes now on Huff. And he throws that one right over the plate for strike 3, and that seems to catch Huff by surprise.
Well, when he painted the outside corner with a fastball, he's going to backdoor him this time with a breaking ball. Hope that that left-hander gives up on it. He does. And it clips the outside corner for the strikeout.
In that at bat, you really saw the effectiveness of Camp, who is truly a sinker slider pitcher.
Yeah, that's what I mean, that he's got 2 pitches that can go different ways. That 2-seamer, that sinker that he can throw to a lefty and get lots of ground ball outs when it's working. And the slider that can bend in on him. Mixing in a changeup a little bit more lately. But basically, you're right, sinker slider.
Melvin Mora is announced. He's 1 for 4. Markakis at first with 2 out, 9th inning. Scheduled for the Blue Jays in the bottom of the 9th, Rod Barajas, Joe Inglet, and Marco Scudero. Here's Mora now. And it's ball 1. Now 2-0. There's the base runner, Markakis. As Camp sets and comes to the plate on 2-0 and paints the black there. A 2-ball, 1-strike count. So Mora collects his information from third base coach John Shelby. Waggles the bat. Here's the pitch. It's fouled off his foot. Now 2-2. Crowd here doing their best to prop up Sean Camp on the 2-2 pitch. He gets this ball popped up and playable for Hill. And when it comes down, it's nestled into his glove for the third out. The Orioles strand a man, but lead by 2 as we head for the bottom of the ninth. The city to celebrate the reunion as they surrounded Cito Gaston after he threw out the ceremonial first pitch. And so hats off to those who came out to see some great players from great teams in the past. Visit BlueJays.com to register for a chance to win prizes with the Burger King Superfan Contest.
And now let's win it in the bottom of the ninth. Walk-off style.
Let's do it.
Just like the olden days also, they're going to have to do it against the new closer for the Baltimore Orioles. That is Big Jim Johnson. Johnson's numbers, very good, 3-4, 322 earned run average. He has a couple of saves this year. One of them, his first one, was back on May 26th when tonight's starter Jason Birkin won his big league debut. It was Jim Johnson who pitched a couple of innings in that game to pick up the save.
First man he sees is Rod Barajas, who grounds to the shortstop, and he is gone with the first out.
Let's make Jim Johnson work a little bit. He is in unfamiliar territory. Sherrill was just traded to the Dodgers not long ago. Johnson's got good stuff. Everything moved. Good slider, good overhand fastball with downward movement. 2 for 5 in saves this year. Was the 8th inning guy for Dave Tremblay before Sherrill was traded away.
The big right-hander from Johnson City, New York, standing 6'5", weighing over 220 pounds, now faces Joe Inglet, who is 1 for 3. England got a bloop base hit to left field in the 5th and was able to pick up the extra base as Nolan Reimold came in, and this one scorched up the middle, but backhanded by Roberts, not in time at first, and England is aboard.
There's a start. Brian Roberts with that good speed, covers a lot of ground. Just getting to the ball was something, and you just can't get anything on. When your momentum is taken out to center field like that, cannot get enough on it. Joe Inglett's thinking base hit all the way, and he runs fairly well. Infield single, and the 3 best hitters who have been the most consistent all season long now for the Jays. Scudero representing the tying run.
Tying run at the plate, and the crowd starts to come alive a little bit. The pitch is low from Johnson, ball 1. Scudero is 0 for 3, striking out twice. He flew out once and walked in the 5th.
Talked about that good single from Johnson. He has held lefties to a 195 average, but right-handers have clipped him for a 297.
Shows bunt and takes strike 1. Johnson first broke into the big leagues in 06, getting 1 start and getting roughed up in that lone start. A 13-11 loss to the White Sox in his major league debut. He pitched 3 innings in that game, allowed 13 base runners, and was optioned back to Double-A the very next day. Now that's a creative look. The World Series jacket, I thought it was on backwards. He sets now, and here comes the 1-1 pitch, a breaking ball that misses, 2-1.
Think about Scudero, he'll make you throw strikes. That run over at first base does not mean anything. Joe Inglet is about a step and a half off of first base. The important guy right now is standing at the plate. You've got to get him on base. Get him on. Take your chances with Hill and Lynn.
The 2-2. Line to right field, but right to Markakis. And Scudero is disgusted with himself. As some of the youngsters here have rally calves going.
That's the defensive positioning right there. He's the tying run. You don't want anything over your head for extra bases. That's why Markakis did not have far to go. Ball hit hard by Scudero.
Well, here we are then in the bottom of the 9th inning with a man on, 2 out, and the guy, based on what he's done all year long, that you'd want to have at the plate in this situation. Aaron Hill shoots it foul.
He's going to stay right in on his hands. He doesn't want Hill to extend those arms and get a pitch out over the plate. He might show him a breaking ball off the plate. And he's going to stay right in on his hands.
Dave Tremblay looking a tad uncomfortable on the bench as his closer, Jim Johnson, tries to end this ball game against an all-star Aaron Hill. Hill doubled in Inglet in the 5th inning. And the Blue Jays at that time had a 3-0 lead. But the Orioles scored 4 in the 6th, 3 more in the 8th. Now it's 7-5 as he runs it in at the letters, 2 balls and a strike. Broken bat, fly ball out to short left field as Asturis backs off, makes the catch, and ends the ball game. The Orioles come in on reunion weekend and defeat the Blue Jays in the opener 7-5. For Pat Tabler and Sam Cosentino, as well as Scott Carson, I'm Jamie Campbell. Good night from Toronto. Stand by now for Sportsnet Connected.